Hello, everyone, and welcome to Reflections of Love and Light. Today's show is going to be about the Paranormal Field. Really excited about the show today. I get to do what I want to do on the show today and run it the way I want to. I'm going to conduct an interview. We have a panel of two, one of which is Jackie, and the other one is Joe Franke. So I'm really excited about the show. Jackie is very passionate about the Paranormal Field. She wants everyone to know that this is a part of her work. She goes on cases, and she loves doing this type of work because it helps a lot of people. So let me just tell you about Joe Franke, who is also our expert. Joe became friends with the Warrens, and for those of you who are not familiar with the name the Warrens, they are Ed and Lorraine Warren, who did investigations and now are movies, one of which is the movie The Haunting in Connecticut, and the other one is Annabelle. That's just came out recently. So they're very important people in this field. Joe learned from them. We've learned from Joe. We're glad to have Joe with us today. So let's get started. So it's nice to have you guys. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I just want to start off the interview by just asking you guys to go back in time and just pick a time where this became something that you realized was a part of you and was going to be a part of your life. Jackie.
Well, I didn't know it was going to be a part of me until I met Joe, because this isn't something that I ever dreamt of doing. I do more on the light working part of this, not the paranormal part. It's been pretty much this past year. I've been working with Joe probably, about 5 years.
Oh, at least we've known each other for over 20 years.
And wasn't always on every investigation. They'd call me a lot, or I'd go and pick a couple that I would go on. It wasn't something that I was comfortable with, like I said, or wanted to do. This past 6 months, basically, I feel like something's calling me to help other people, and this is growing. People are starting to believe. There's a lot of TV shows that are out there now that things happen too, and probably Joe can talk about this later on, that things are happening, you think, because of a show you just watched, it's bringing up other things.
Right.
So I want to also put in people's mind that it's not always scary, and it's not always something just because you see or feel something.
Mm-hmm. Joe, when were you when did this come to you that this is something that it's like a calling to you, or was it just something that I think I should be doing something in this field?
Well, I've always considered this a vocation, like you mentioned, a calling. Going back to when I was a child, and I tell this story when I lecture because I truly believe that this is how it all began. I was named for my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, and he was very proud of that, and I was very close to him. And I remember one evening my parents were watching television, as my mother tells the story. I was sound asleep in my bed, and I must have been about 3 years old, and I come walking out into the living room, and my mom tells me my eyes were closed, and I said, "What, Mom? What?" Someone called Joe. And my parents kind of looked at each other and shrugged it off and said, "He's dreaming, sleepwalking." So they put me into bed, she tucked me in. 5 minutes later, here I come again, out in the living room. You know what? Someone called Joseph. Well, again, my parents said, "Oh, he's still having a dream," put me back into bed. And as my mother was tucking me in the second time, the phone rang. It was my grandmother, her mother, and she said, I can't wake up your father. And my grandmother found him sitting in a sitting position in bed. He passed away reading the Bible. And it's the Bible that I have today in my possession that I use to help me on some cases that, all the cases that we work on. And it's a very compelling story, Sometimes I get choked up when I talk about it, but I remember this voice in my head like it was 5 minutes ago. I could hear my name being called. And the way I explained it is I was so close to my grandfather, even though I was only 3 years old at the time, that I heard God calling him, I really feel in my heart. That's how it all started. I call it a divine experience.
Wow.
It wasn't until later in life that I realized that I was called to do this work. When I had met famed paranormal researchers Ed and Lorraine Warren, my girlfriend and I, who is now my wife, had attended one of their lectures. And I remember I was 18 years old. I was walking up to the table. Lorraine was at the table taking the money for the tickets. And she kind of cocked her head to one side and she said, "Honey, have we met before?" And I said, "No, Lorraine." I said, "I've heard a lot about you guys. I'm pretty excited about the show tonight and everything." She says, "There's a reason why you're here tonight. I could tell by your aura." She was able to read auras. She goes, "Make sure you see Ed and I after the show. We want to talk." And we sat through the show. I could hardly keep a thought in my head as the show was going on. I'm like, wow, these people are famous to me. What do they want to talk to us about? So after the show wrapped up, we ended up going out to a diner with them. Lorraine was sitting across from me, and she had told me, she goes, I can tell, I'm reading your aura. She goes, you were meant to be here tonight because you were meant to do this work.
Wow.
She's like, would you consider working with Ed and I? And I yeah. Absolutely. So they kind of took me under their wing, and my wife at the time, my girlfriend at the time, we started attending classes with them. They used to give classes, and they spoke about some of their high-profile cases like the Amityville Horror, the haunting in Connecticut, the story about the Southington House, and the rest, as they say, is history. Here I am 29 years later.
So that was probably the development of you honing your skills doing this work.
I learned an awful lot from them. I consider Lorraine like a grandmother to me. Ed passed away, unfortunately, about 8 years ago. I still see Lorraine from time to time and speak with her. But that's how I got into this work. To me, it was a calling. But, I do it because I want to help people with their paranormal experiences, not for fame or fortune or anything like that. I truly want to help people. When I met you guys 20 plus years ago, it seems like we had the same vision, and I'm so glad that this is kind of culminating now, where we can all work together.
Jackie's said that plenty of times, that this is what we're doing this for, is to help other people. So with you, Jackie, how did you figure out your gift and how you could use it with the paranormal?
Like I said, I didn't want to do that work.
Yeah.
Yes, I knew dark side of things. I've been into places where I've felt negative energy. That to me.
So in the beginning, you would say that you didn't know what that was.
So in the beginning, I was fearful of the darkness that I saw. And then working with Joe, I discovered that not all of these investigations are darkness.
No.
So I relate paranormal, just that word, I'm fearful of the word.
I'm sure a lot of people do. Yeah.
Right. So I know now, working with Joe and doing investigations, that it's not just about entities or darkness.
It's not.
We're helping spirit. A lot of it is spirit trying to contact their family for whatever reason. Maybe they passed and they were angry. They want to get a message across. They're going to move things around. It's scary for the person going through it because they don't know what it is. Where in the end, we've done investigations that, wow, your grandfather turned on the water because he wants to say, I love you, or I'm protecting you. He knew you were going through something. So it's not all, I've grown, and it's not all darkness. And I definitely want to help. There is things I won't do. There has been times where we've gone places and I told Joe I'm not getting out of the car. It's not something for me that I can do, that I'm going to do. So they went on in. So I pick and choose the help that I'm going to give.
Yeah, it's good to let the listeners know that it's not all bad. When you hear paranormal, you think of that movie Paranormal Activity, and you don't want them to think that it's just, oh, something's bad in my house. So I'm hearing something, it has to be bad.
Right, so that's when we come in, we give them a comfort in knowing that.
Well, it's unfortunate because within the past 10 to 15 years or so, there's been such an influx of paranormal TV shows that darkness and fear and scaring people sells. Mm-hmm. It's a multi-million dollar business, and that's not the way we look at it. It's not a business. It's helping people that are terrified and frightened because they're experiencing things they can't explain. Now, whether or not it's paranormal is yet to be seen.
Right. However,
in their mind, it's very real.
Right.
It's very real, and we're there to counsel them, to help them, to listen, to lend an ear. And there may not be anything paranormal going on at all, but they think it is. And one of the first questions I ask folks is, do you watch any of these TV shows? And many times the answer is, oh yeah. Do you have any favorites? Well, I have this one or that one. So the seed's already been planted. So it's psychosomatic that, oh, I heard a noise or a door slam and I can't identify where it came from, so it must be a ghost in my house or something, or a demon. Mm-hmm. And that's not the case. Very few cases that we end up taking are really paranormal in nature. It's just something else, something beautiful.
I loved what we did a couple weeks ago, and the woman was experiencing, she felt someone in her bedroom. A picture fell off the wall.
She was hearing voices.
Older woman. She was scared, living by herself. So she contacted Joe. We went over there. Usually when we go on a case, I'll write notes. I get visions of already names and, that sort of thing wherever we're going. So I was taking some notes down. And we walk in the house, and I felt so much love in that house. As soon as you walk in there, there's probably 4 different crosses in there of Jesus. There's 5 statues of Mary. And so she looked at me and she said, what do you feel? I said, I feel love. She said, who's here? And I said, Jesus and God, that's who's here. And your father. And I told him, I don't want to use a name right now. And I said, who is such and such, who I wrote down. And she said, that's my father. I said, well, you called him in to protect you when you weren't feeling good, so he came. And that's who you're feeling.
The amazing thing about this story is within the first five minutes, Jackie, you made her feel at peace, that it was like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders, that there wasn't anything here that wanted to harm me. Because the name you came up with was not a common name. It wasn't a name like Joe or Bob or Bill. You mentioned a name and you said, who is so-and-so? And they just went, that's my father. And
Rocco was the name.
Right. It's just, my point was, it wasn't a common name that you just pick out of thin air. And you could see, I could see, and I know, Richard, you probably could see the relief on their face.
I felt so good. And that's what makes my job and what I do makes me feel good. It's jobs like that, you know. And then doing the scary job we did, I say it's scary, a few months ago at the, you know, where I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, which is still it's still an open and ongoing.
That was scary to me. We still, you know, went through it, and I know that I was still able to help her, the owner, and that makes me feel good.
Absolutely.
So I've been reaching out, I guess you could say, coming out of my comfort zone with this work, because I know that we're needed, and I'm ready.
And nothing could thrill me more to hear you say that, because I know
you've been trying.
You've told me, well, you know, I respect your feelings. If there's a case that you say, you know, geez, Joe, I really can't go in there. I don't feel safe. That's fine with me. I'm still going in there.
Right, I know you are.
Okay,
yeah.
But this work is invaluable with your gift, because you know what's there. It's not like guesswork. It's like you know.
Right.
You know, I don't, but I'm there, you know, to support the person and try to empower them. Not so much fight their battles for them, but to help them.
Help them.
I say, you know, this is your home. This is your business. You need to take it back. If there is something here, it's probably not malevolent, but you need to take it back and say, listen, I recognize you. I know you're here, but you're scaring me. You need to move on. Go on into the light. With love. Go with love.
I send you away with love.
I send you away with love. Exactly. And many times, that's all it takes. And
well, I think even just seeing you and Richard inside a home, they're looking at you guys like, all right, I'm already safe. Just the way that you guys are. You're like teddy bears.
We are teddy bears.
You're big guys, and it's like all of a sudden you feel safe. I know that's why I love being a part of this group, because it makes me feel safe. I can open up and do better work for me.
You guys have brought up those 2 jobs. What do you guys actually call when you go on one of these calls or jobs?
I call it research, because it's an evolving research. Each case is different, although many similarities. To me, I'm always fascinated by the work. I've been doing this since I was 18 years old. I'm 46 now, so everybody knows how old I am. But you know, we lecture on the subject. You know, we get people in the audience that don't believe, and I'm like, look, we're like Fox News. We report, you decide. Not here to change anybody's minds. However, I can tell you this: I haven't spent 28 years of my life wasting for no reason. There is something out there, but it's not all dark, like Jackie said. It's not. Matter of fact, a very small percentage of things is dark. Hollywood and television wants you to believe that it is, because that's what makes money. You know, it's a business, and some of these shows that are on TV are very well done, I will admit, but they're not factual in stating how true investigation is or should be performed. Most people we work with don't want to be on television or radio. They don't want their name out there. They want complete anonymity, discretion, and we respect that. And if we show photos or video footage in a lecture or setting, we always have consent to do so.
Do you guys know of anywhere else in Connecticut that's haunted, or people would possibly go and then feel something?
Well, we were just talking about going to the Seven Gates Cemetery.
Seven gates?
Isn't it called Seven Gates?
I think it's
though?
8 gates.
But no one can find the 8th gate.
We'll find it.
Okay, well, I went there probably about, 6 years ago, and I felt a lot of energy there.
And this is in Connecticut?
No, it's in Worcester.
Oh, Worcester. Okay.
Worcester, Massachusetts. Yeah.
And there, you can go online and you can go onto their website
and put that in, and then it'll come up.
Oh yeah, you'll see what people have gone through when they've gone to the cemetery. And I will tell you, It's real. The energy that I felt there, the pictures that we took. I mean, there's a couple of pictures where there's orbs all over me. I went to and this was like 3:00 in the afternoon.
Just for the listeners, what would you describe to them when you say orb? What's the definition of an orb?
In a picture, it looks like a round circle or a beam of light. It could be white, it could be purple, red. It's like almost like a perfect circle.
And that's spirit?
That's energy, yes.
But it could also be very easily confused with dust particles, water vapor.
So it takes a
bugs.
trained eye to know what the difference is.
It does, and it is probably the most common form of energy. If Jackie, maybe you'll agree.
Yeah.
You see it in other aspects like maybe mist or looks like vapor or light rods, but it doesn't mean that every time you get an orb in a photograph that it's energy. It could be a bug or dust or something that we were just talking about water vapor. Too many people are quick to just throw these photos up on social media and say,
Yeah,
look what I
this is
caught, but
enormous.
where's the research? Where's the science behind it? Anybody could say anything about anything or anyone.
The reason why I say when I went there and I saw the pictures, some of the pictures that were the orbs, is because that was the exact same spot where I felt all the energy. So I know no matter who looks at that picture, that was energy.
There was energy.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
There's many public places that are alleged to be haunted. And I say alleged because many of them I've been to and haven't captured any evidence of activity. However, it doesn't mean that
There isn't
there isn't anything there. It's just
I
that they didn't
choose that
capture
place
anything.
because that is
Yeah.
what I've experienced, that I know and feel that it's haunted.
There is a cemetery in Connecticut, and I guess I can mention it's a public place. It's called the Guntown Cemetery in Naugatuck, Connecticut. And the reason I'm bringing this up is about 20 years ago, I was in the cemetery with a couple of friends. I was walking parallel to the old stone wall in the front. It's a creepy old cemetery on a dark road, and I'm walking and just taking photographs. And I don't think at the time I was even saying it. And I felt a blow to my gut, like someone had taken a baseball bat and hit me. And this is, I gotta tell you, this is one of the very few times I've ever been hit by an unseen force. And this is the God's honest truth. And it doubled me over such so that I went down on one knee, and I remember I said, guys, we gotta get out of here. Now, yeah, I'm a big, strong guy, but physical strength has very little to do with this. You need to be strong emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. You need to be very strong in your faith. Otherwise, you can become a victim of the work. And there are many so-called paranormal investigators out there that have been affected by this work.
Well, I
That
think
leads-
it's able to. Oh, I'm just going to say this: that I know a few myself, and I feel that these spirits or these dark energies were able to take their power in some way. That's what I have experienced.
When you go to any of these places, or someone who's just, one of like our listeners or myself, you go to a place like that, is there a way to protect yourself?
Absolutely. I mean, I protect
From-
myself in a different way. You can protect
So there's
us.
different ways to do
Oh
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Prayer. Joe
I
brings his
pray.
Bible.
Yeah.
I always bring my rosary beads.
Oh, okay.
I ask for protection. May the white light of Christ guide us and protect us. Only good can come to us, and only good can go from us.
Exactly.
Anything that's negative, without love, I don't want around me.
Right.
I send you away with love.
And I envision not only myself, but my friends and family and the people we're trying to help in the light of Christ. And I basically say out loud, look, if there are any evil entities here, you're not allowed to touch anyone. You're not allowed to attack anyone. You're not allowed to follow us home. And you just put my foot down and say, that's it. Like I'm scolding my teenage, children. You're not allowed. And I got to tell you, in the 28 plus years I've been doing this, I can tell you, I've never brought anything home. My family's never been affected. And I think I do a pretty good job protecting myself and my family. I'm very happy about that. I've known a lot of people that have tried to get into this work, have had problems. Their family has had problems. Because what I've found out is if there's something dark and sinister and it can't get to you, it's going to go to people close to you. It's going to try to get to you some way.
Finds
We'll
like
find
a
a
weak.
weakness.
It's going to try and find the weakest link, exactly, and expose that.
So have you guys, kind of referring to things, what's like the worst thing that you've heard happen to someone from doing this work?
Well, I know now of a friend who is still in the work that has had family members have been pushed, they've been shoved, family members have been locked out of the home by unseen forces, inexplicable things. He said actually has recordings of what we call EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, which are disembodied voices that are caught with a recorder, whether it be a digital recorder or a magnetic tape recorder for no reason. Some seem to be in response to direct questions. That is pretty scary. Pretty scary for someone in the work, let alone someone that has no idea, what
But
the work
also,
involves.
too, when people are really into this work, everyone, no matter what job you do, you bring work home. This is one part of me that I will not bring home. Yes, we have meetings here. I surrender and I surround ourselves, this table, with love. I have my sage that I use. I have my rosary beads next to me. Close it up. And I don't feel that some people who do this work go in with protection and close it up. They want to see things. So if you want to see things and you want to feel things, you're going to.
Be careful what you wish for.
Exactly. So I feel that people that we've worked with or I know of who do this work, they don't close it out. And
Well,
they bring it home. And that's not something that I'm going to do. And also I want to put in there too, there hasn't been an investigation or a case that we have worked on together or I've worked on alone that we haven't helped ever. I can say that, and I will guarantee that no matter what the situation, if I say I can help you, I will be able to help you. If I say that's not for me, that's not a part of what I can do, but here's a resource that maybe can, we're very honest.
Right, and not every case is going to be solved in the first 5 or 10 minutes. Some
Right.
cases, I've had
You gotta come
cases
back.
I've worked on for years where the activity had diminished to the point where it almost went away entirely, and then all of a sudden came back.
And then you worked on it and then it went away again.
Right.
So there is,
So,
absolutely.
like
there's
this
places
case
that
we're
will do that.
presently working on, I've been there a few times recently myself. I go in there and I pray and I work with the business owner, and it seems like after we leave or I leave, it's everything's calmed down for a while.
I feel like too we helped her with getting her power back and
Yeah.
her knowing that she has the power over whatever this is that's affecting her business.
Right.
Which again, that's something that we've helped her with.
And
I
I-
don't, to be honest with you, Joe, and we can cut this out if you want to. That's always going to be there.
I would agree with you.
And we maybe in another show we can talk about the case.
Yeah, maybe.
Whatever that has been there in this particular building is always going to be there in that particular building. You can live with it and take power over it, or you're going to be weak and it's going to attack your weaknesses. Because
And
I know
that-
when I was there, it tried to attack mine,
I don't think it likes me very much, but
but not many of them do because you challenge.
well, no, not so much that we challenge it, but they know that we're there to try and ask it nicely at first to leave.
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to be here, and there's certainly no reason for any dark entities to be holding hostage any other spirits that may want to move on but are frightened or held captive by this other being, whatever it may be. So I think we've done a lot of good work there, just helping the owner of this business take back her business
Yes.
and have her stand her ground, knowing that we're right behind her. One of my biggest pet peeves, I gotta mention, is someone that comes to me who's genuinely frightened. Whether or not there's anything paranormal going on, okay, in their mind it's very real. It's real to them. So you counsel them, we'll check out the home, like we did in Southington. And that home, there was something there, but it was beautiful. It was
Yeah.
a good story, and that was a beautiful story. But people need to realize that it's not all dark and sinister, and there's a demon lurking around every corner looking to pounce on you. But people want to live in that fear. They create their own fear and their own drama.
I think too, as we grow spiritually, we become energy sensitive, and
You see more.
absolutely you do. Once you believe,
Mind is a powerful thing.
Yeah, you can see, and you're really probably seeing something and feeling something, but you don't know what it is. So you go to the frightened part.
Immediately. You
So-
go to the paranormal, the evil,
Yeah.
the demon. There's a demon in my house. Help me get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
You go there, and it's like, it's beautiful. All I feel
Yeah.
is love in this house.
Yeah.
I mean,
There was one thing that you guys had mentioned before, auras, what an aura is.
Well, when I see auras, it's usually around someone or something, and I see different colors. Every aura, and this could be probably for another show, because every color of every aura, it means something
means
different.
something. Oh, okay.
So today, I'll tell you right now, I see light blue and purple around Joe, because right now he's having some healing done, body work. So he's been working out, I see that healing. So blue and purple to me, when I see that kind of rainbow.
So do you
around
always
it,
see
I
colors?
will always see colors, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. which also helps me with the readings that I give. I don't always say I see a color around you, and that's my work.
All right, well, thank you guys. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I'm sure the listeners loved hearing all about all that you do, and too for the people who are looking for help in this area. So,
And if you are looking for help,
it's 20 plus years that you guys have to offer different people. You guys have crafted your gifts in a way that you can help these people. You've given them a place to go if they decide to venture out into this, see what they can find, and a way to protect them. So we appreciate that you guys have done this.
The most important message would be to people out there that are listening is that there are people that can help you. Mm-hmm. There are people that are knowledgeable that can help you. But just don't be reeled in by thrill seekers that just want to get in and get some photographs or maybe some video or audio evidence that they can put up on YouTube. That's not what we are about. Mm-hmm. We care genuinely about you and your welfare, and we'll do our best to help you. But
now, if someone wants to get a hold of you or I, Joe, can you give your email address?
Sure. My name is Joe Franke. My email address is ghost1, the number 1, at comcast.net. You can reach me. That's my personal email address. And our website and Facebook page will be forthcoming.
And also, you can email me at spiritualvisionary@yahoo.com.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Remember, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Have a blessed week.